was the motive for Reno Omekri asking you to nominate Nurabadu for Nobel Prize?
Again, he said he's planning to run as vice president with Rubadu as presidential candidate in 2032. That's been his long game. He told me that. Rubadu would puff up his chances of being vice president someday. And so anything to do to puff up Rubadu would puff up his chances of being vice president someday. So, you know, that's clearly he's got a special relationship with Rubadu. Minister Tugger, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, former, with Minister Idris, the Minister of Communication. It was Nuhu Rubadu and Reno Omokri who personally called me on October 5th to go do the press conference. I've spoken with them, and I know Omokri in depth. Spoken with Pabio. I've spoken with many others.
Nigerians and friends of Nigerians, we have the moment that you guys have been waiting for. Here is a very important guest that you need to hear from. Please, can you kindly introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mike Arnold. People in Nigeria, some of them call me Earthshaker. I've been in Nigeria 16 times as a missionary. And I build and run schools and displacement camps across the FCT. We have about 650 full-time students. And I'm advocating for a free nation. I believe Nigeria can be a great premier nation, an example nation on earth, if the stranglehold of tyranny is broken.
And you were a former mayor of where in Texas?
Yes, sir. I served a term as a mayor of the city of Blanco, Texas, my hometown. It's north of San Antonio, west of Austin, a small town in the Texas Hill Country. I lifetime as an entrepreneur and a missionary. When I was 28 years old, I founded the first fully digital broadcast television news network in the world. I built a nationwide youth discipleship ministry here in the United States many years ago. And like I said, my focus these days is on helping serve my beloved second home of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mike, for coming to speak to us on this platform. The first question that a lot of Nigerians will want to hear your view on is, we are, as you know, going to have an election in Nigeria from January next year. People have been raising questions about INEC's ability to conduct a free and fair election, given recent development in Nigeria where an aide to the Minister of FCT hacked into the data of INEC. What is your assessment of INEC's ability to conduct a free and fair election that will reflect the will of the Nigerian people?
Well, take that at two levels. First of all, the system that INEC operates in, the Constitution of Nigeria, is just a continuation of dictatorship. It was written by a Northern Fulani dictator without any input or ratification of the people. It was implemented. It puts power in control of the North by gerrymandering the nation and the electoral count to favor the Islamic North. And it mentions Sharia and Islamic terms 165 times without one Christian term. So this is a so-called secular democracy. It's a rigged system. So even if the election were so-called free and fair, it would still be 100% bias and unbalanced. So in that regards, first of all, if INEC was pure as the driven snow, it would still not be a free and fair referendum of the people. But there is nothing, I've seen no corner of this government that has anything to do with freedom and fairness. The court system is corrupt. Everything. I mean, every person that holds an office, appointed or hired, most likely was hired by either the Buhari administration or the Tinubu administration. There's maybe a few left over otherwise. But no, it's fully rigged. The president is a totalitarian dictator with no ethics or regard for the rule of law. So of course the deck is stacked. Has there ever been a free and fair election in Nigeria? Dating back to the very first one of Nigeria upon independence, when it's documented, the British overlords from England mandated to the administrators, make sure that the North wins. They rigged the very first election. So no, there is no legacy of freedom and fairness that they can support, and the system itself is corrupt. So yeah, there's not going to be a free and fair election in Nigeria any way you cut it without what I'm calling for is global supervision of the election.
Do you think the Tinubu administration has done anything to make sure that the election is free and fair?
That's like asking, has the hyena given the gazelle the chance to escape? The sentence you formed doesn't even make sense in my brain. Has Tinubu done anything that would help somebody else take power? Of course he won't. He doesn't. That's not in his way of thinking. It's all about absorbing power and money for himself and his cronies. So no, of course he hasn't done anything, and he won't do anything to help somebody else possibly win. It's against his religion, if you call it that.
Okay, so Tinubu has been in office now just over 3 years and a few weeks. What is your assessment of the Tinubu's administration, and from the interactions that you have had with your friends in America and around the world, what is their assessment of the Tinubu's administration?
It is glaringly and almost mind-bogglingly corrupt. On the financial side in 2024, and depending on how you do the math, because federal budgets can be complicated, anywhere from 56 to 72% of the federal budget he gave no bid contracts, signed the check, and gave it to his crony Gilbert Chigurh for no bid contracts. Okay, and he's looted everything he can, but there are some policies he's done that on paper are actually the right thing to do. I believe, floating the Naira is, in a perfect world with a person, would be a good thing, and some other, things that to the World Bank might look good because it's increasing the economy. But if you look at the reality on the ground, the standard of living is lower, security is lower. So if he's put more money in the pool, it's just so he and his buddies can keep siphoning more off of it. He's an abject failure when it comes to the job of what a leader should be doing, which is looking out for the interests of the people. All he cares about is himself and his cronies, his power and his money. Damn everything and everybody else. The tale is of the tape is this: security is worse, and standard of living is worse. So I mean, there's no other way to spin it.
If you're watching this podcast and you would like to appear on this podcast, you can WhatsApp me on the numbers there. We will always consider your appearance if we feel that it is in the best interest of the oppressed Nigerian people. If you see any value in this content, don't forget to give it a like and share so that people can learn. Thank you so much. So you mentioned before that Reno Omekre, who happened to be my brother from the same part of Nigeria, you said he contacted you and asked you to nominate the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, for Nobel Prize. Nigerians would like to hear what was that about?
Yeah, that was in 2024. It was after the Nigerian government came out and fraudulently declared Boko Haram defeated, fraudulently declared that they had killed the #2 guy in ISIS, which is proven beyond any reasonable doubt that was a bald-faced lie. But anyway, they'd come out with these falsehoods, and Omokri called and pleaded with me to nominate Nuhu Ribadu for a Nobel Peace Prize. Of course, I said no. I actually put some conditions that if he were to do this, and this, which would have warranted a Nobel Prize, actually get the IDPs home, actually make sure they're safe, and we'll talk about it. But no, he had asked me to nominate Ribadu, and he's also told me that he was planning the 2032. It's going to be a Ribadu Omokri ticket for president. That's what he told me. So, yeah, the guy's delusional.
Okay, so if you were scoring Tinubu's administration, were anything above 8, means is excellent. Anything 5 is average. Anything from 2 below is fair. How would you score the Tinubu's administration?
Well, first of all, I don't think any administration with the Nigerian constitution and the Nigerian power structure can score above a 0. It's institutionally corrupt, and it's institutionally designed to subjugate the people and thwart freedom and prosperity. It's designed to fail. But in that context, how is Tinubu done? Less than 0. Again, security, worse. Corruption, worse. Standard of living, worse. More displaced, more dead, no help for the displaced. This administration calls the people I serve. I have schools in several camps in the FCT, survivors of the Gwoza massacre in Goshe, Chibok, that have endured unimaginable trauma and hardship for a decade. He calls them criminals, beggars, vagrants. I mean, that's satanic. It's pure evil. And so, nothing good can come out of a satanic, evil regime. And again, standard of living, bottom. Security, bottom. No improvement. It's only gotten worse. So yeah, less than 0. He's a pathetic failure when it comes to any measure of what matters to the people. He's only made himself and his cronies richer, and the bad people more powerful.
What was the motive for Reno Omekri asking you to nominate Nuhu Ribadu for Nobel Prize?
Again, he said he's planning to run as vice president with Ribadu as presidential candidate in 2032. That's been his long game. He told me that. And so anything to do to puff up Ribadu would puff up his chances of being vice president someday. So that's clearly that he's got a special relationship with Ribadu.
Do you think the plan is for Ribadu to succeed Tinubu?
Again, I don't know if that's changed, but all I know is what Omokri told me, and there was no ambiguity to it that Ribadu was going to be presidential candidate, and Omokri would be vice president in 2032. Whether that's going to happen, we'll see. I've been surprised at, for example, the October press conference that Omokri set up, where he wanted me to be the Jane Fonda of Nigeria and gloss over the genocide, ended up being measurably the worst PR fiasco in the history of Nigeria, perhaps in Africa, when you count the damage that he did by thinking that I would lie. It blew up in their face in ways that people say that's what got Trump involved, was Omokri's fiasco from their perspective. Yet he still got his promised ambassadorial appointment. It blows my mind. I thought they would have cut him loose for being such a pathetic, incompetent failure and causing so much damage. But no, they rewarded him anyway because it's loyalty. And Ribadu has shown that loyalty, that submissiveness that is necessary to advance in Nigerian politics. So we'll see, but I think there's a good chance.
Okay. So you mentioned Tinubu awarding contract to his cronies. Is that the Lagos-Calabar coastal road that was awarded to the tune of 15 to 17 trillion naira?
That's the biggest in Nigerian history. There are other contracts that make that one, that pale in comparison to that one, that are vast as well. But it's upwards of 13 billion US dollars. And yeah, that was all written to one man and through no bid contracts, which is baffling, mind-boggling that he has that power and that he hasn't been arrested for it. But that's just the system. I mean, how many people are getting fat off of that? I'm sure it's flowing around liberally among his cronies.
Leaked document later revealed that the contract you were talking about was awarded to a company called High Tech, which is owned by Sheyi Tinubu, is the director, and alongside Roland Chagri, the son of Chagri. Now, what do you, given your views that the election in Nigeria next year, the result has already been written, as a lot of observers have said, What do you think would happen if the result is deemed not to reflect the will of the Nigerian people? Would the US accept a flawed election?
Biden did. Before the dust settled, he congratulated Tinubu. And that was clearly rigged. So I don't know. I would like to think I have hope in Trump. And people need to understand the U.S. isn't a monolithic thing. You know, comparing Trump to Biden is almost greater of a difference than comparing Jonathan to Buhari. I mean, they're very, very different. I would like to think Trump would do the right thing. He's done it in a lot of places on earth, but he's getting extremely conflicted input regarding Nigeria. You mentioned that coastal contract and the Chaguri group getting all these massive contracts. The top preferred equipment provider to the Chaguri group is the company SCOA, is that it? Owned by the Boulos family. Mossad Boulos was the CEO of that.
Yeah.
Mossad Boulos, who is his family company, personally profiting off of these massive no-bid contracts. He's Trump's senior advisor when it comes to Africa. He's also Tiffany Trump's father-in-law. When I literally risked my life and was prepared to give my life, truly was, to speak the truth in Abuja in October, 3 days later, Chaguri, Boulos meets privately with Tinubu in Rome, comes out in front of Nigerian state television cameras and recites verbatim the talking points I had heard 3 days earlier by Issa Pantami sitting next to me when he was trying to, feed me these talking points. Verbatim, Boulos is giving Trump the same spin as the northern terrorist-connected imams. There's something very wrong there. So I hope Trump could see through that, but I'm growing skeptical. We'll see.
If you're watching this podcast and you would like to appear on this podcast, you can WhatsApp me on the numbers there. We will always consider your appearance if we feel that it is in the best interest of the oppressed Nigerian people. If you see any value in this content, don't forget to give it a like and share so that people can learn. Thank you so much. So if Trump is relying on Boulos, who is his senior advisor on Africa and the Middle East affair, to guide him, and this person has link with the Shagri, clearly there appear to be conflict of interest. That means that the election next year, the international community, does that mean they're likely to just endorse and rubber stamp the election in Nigeria?
There's a lot of variables, and I'm not gonna predict it. Trump, after Boulos did that, Trump still declared Nigeria a country of particular concern and still bombed Sokoto. So he's obviously not buying everything hook, line, and sinker. We'll see. But if there's not a clear, viable alternative, if the winning candidate isn't strong enough and the movement behind them isn't strong enough, all he would be doing by, disputing it would be just throwing the country into chaos. If there's a movement for change that has popular backing and is clearly the winner, then yeah, I think the world would get behind that. No, because people are paying attention now to Nigeria like never before in history. There's an opportunity here. The light is shining. But if it's just disputed and questionable, and the person who may have actually won is really just more of the same, really just going to keep the machine the same, even if they are declared winner, there's no reason that I see for Trump or anybody else to vociferously dispute that. They need to have what's next in mind before they take an action. And just disputing something for the sake of disputing it is meaningless, in my opinion. If there's an alternative and it's got popular support, yeah, I think that you'd see some intervention.
Do you see any alternative?
Not that's emerged yet, in my opinion. And I'm going to be honest, I think the world of Peter Obi. I think he's, from what I can tell, a good, honorable, ethical man with good intentions. But he has shackled himself, unforced error, in my opinion. I think Nigeria deserves better than okay. Kwankwaso is a fact. He is a top, close confidant of the Sultan. And he is a governor, one of the first governors to implement Sharia law in his state. And to intentionally not only, have this guy as a running mate, but then to take the unprecedented step and saying, oh, we're going to share power with this guy. I don't see that as an alternative to the status quo, to be honest with you. But we can get deeper into that. But it's a trap. One guy that's sharing power with the Sultan's man in an entire regime of Buhari and Tinubu appointees. The last Southern Christian guy that tried to change, they unleashed pure hell to stop him. I don't see what one guy in that setting can do. I think it's an unforced error. He shackled himself to a machine that's designed to fail. So no, I don't see that. And I know I'm ruffling some Nigerian feathers there, but I'm because you're thinking small. Okay is not good enough for you. I think you can have better. I think Nigeria can be be a true Wakanda if it's truly set free. I don't see that. I'm paying attention to Donald Duke. He is announced, from what I understand. I know him personally. He's a true leader, a true statesman, a true benevolent person through and through. His record proves that, and my relationship with him has shown that. But is he going to do what needs to be done to win? We'll see. I don't know. I haven't endorsed anybody. I'm looking for certain signs, and I haven't seen them yet.
If you're watching this podcast and you would like to appear on this podcast, you can WhatsApp me on the numbers there. We will always consider your appearance if we feel that it is in the best interest of the oppressed Nigerian people. Mike, you have spoken. Am I right in saying that you have interacted with people close to the Tinubu administration? Do you think they have the interest of the Nigerian people at heart?
No, of course not. They have the interest of the caliphate at heart and themselves. They're either loyal to the caliphate, which is a prophecy-driven regime for conquest, or they're just lining their own pockets. But no, I spent time in Abuja with Minister Tugger, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, former, with Minister Idris, the Minister of Communication. It was Nuhu Rabadu and Reno Omokri who personally called me on October 5th to go do the press conference. I've spoken with them, and I know Omokri in depth. Spoken with Pabio. I've spoken with many others. And no, and my whole basis for all of those conversations, and still is my purpose, is to help these displaced people, the most amazing people I know, friends of mine, help them get home safely. And not one of them has any care in the world for the displaced. 10 to 12 millions, widows and orphans, suffering, languishing, dying in your midst, and they don't have an interest in even recognizing them. So no, they have no interest of the people in heart. It's just themselves and just their ideology.
So when you interact with political associates, friends, and people that are observing what is happening in Nigeria, what is your assessment? What is the feedback you're getting about the Tinubu's administration and the Nigerian presidential election in January next year?
I don't talk to a whole lot of people over here about the Nigerian presidential election. I have made the statement, and I stand on it from the U.S. perspective, at least, that working with the current administration to end the genocide is like working with the Third Reich to end the Holocaust. They may talk nice, and they may give you lip service, and they may cajole you and throw you a bone or two, but they have no interest or desire or ability to end what's happening there. And as far as the election, I have simply called for a free and fair election that the U.S. international community not just monitor from Abuja, but actually implement, which is precedented internationally, implement and run a free and fair election. That's what must happen. Beyond that, I'm not into the politics of it so much. This system, the Nigerian constitution, must be replaced. The regime, regardless of who's on top of it, the regime must be deconstructed and rebuilt to reflect the remarkable, amazing people of Nigeria. Not a stranglehold to extract, but a tool for Nigeria could be the next Singapore. I mean, go from rags to riches and go from the bottom of the barrel to the top of the mountain in a generation. I believe that. And it's not going to happen with the current system in place. It's just not going to happen.
The last question on this segment is, what do you think the Nigerian people can do to reduce the risk of, to prevent the election being rigged next year?
That's a good question. There's a mindset shift, and it's deep. And I say this with all love and respect and admiration. There's a colonial mentality. I've heard Nigerians call it an inferiority complex. I don't know that I'd go that far, but there in a lot of ways it's justified that, yeah, hey, we got to get out of here if we're gonna ever make anything of ourselves. But that's not a reflection of the character of Nigeria. That's a reflection of the stranglehold. But thinking that help must come from outside, ideas, philosophies, systems, structures must come from outside because that's better. That's a lie. Nigerians, and when I say Nigeria, I mean the region on the map that the world recognizes as Nigeria. It is what it is. That's how we refer to it. But Nigerians, the peoples of Nigeria have so much potential. Power is not given. It is built and it is taken. And it's not going to be given by the outside world. It's not going to be given by this system. The people of Nigeria need to rise up. They need to unite beyond tribe, beyond region, beyond religion. Everybody with a conscience and with a glimmer of hope needs to lay aside the differences, settle the differences later, draw the boundaries the way you want them when you're done, but stand together to pull down this evil regime, or you're all going to end up subjugated or dead. And need to stand up as one man. MLK, Gandhi, those are some examples that need to be emulated in Nigeria. Just resist, just stop complying. And it'll be costly, but I would give you this. Non-violent revolutions have a 100% greater, literally 26% to greater than 50% chance of success than a violent revolution. I'm not calling for a violent revolution, but I'm calling for a revolution nonetheless. A non-violent revolution of conscience of all good people of Nigeria to stand up and resist and to pull down this evil system and build something that'll allow you to become the greatest. I think you could be among the greatest nations on earth in a generation. I believe that wholeheartedly, because everywhere Nigerians go on earth, they rise to the very top. Give them freedom and they'll do it back home.
On that wise advice from Mike, we are going to end this segment. If you see any value in this content, don't forget to give it a like and share so that people can learn. Thank you so much.